Welcome to the Hunters Hub, a Monster Hunter community podcast for hunters by hunters.
Hello, hunters, and welcome to the Hunters Hub, episode 10. Today we're going to finish up our beta discussion. This is being recorded the last day, or just ended, of beta 2, but we're still talking about the different things from the beta. Today's just going to be our general thoughts and other mechanics and stuff in the beta, but first we have to introduce everybody. This is Fortuan, our usual producer, guest guy, me, and Loborin, other co-host, our newest one.
Hello, hello.
And WrathOfGog.
Yellow.
Old and faithful, right?
Oh yeah. Almost.
And we have a new guest, Haru, 17.
Hello.
Not that he's 17, but
Definitely not
his
17.
name.
We'd like to start out with introductions for new people who've been on. Just a little bit about you, Haru. Just a light overview so people can get an idea of who you are, what kind of hunter you are. So, how did you get started in Monster Hunter?
Oh yeah, I got so I was like a Nintendo gamer growing up, and when I got the Wii, got Monster Hunter Tri around when it came out, and I kind of button mashed my way through it and just single player, low rank, all that jazz.
Same.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm a longsword main now, and
Longsword was good in that one.
It was very good.
And yeah, I guess I like looking at monsters.
Yeah. I agree.
Yes.
Cool. So from there, what are your top 3 favorite monsters?
Oh geez. Well, let's just say like Royal Ludroth, Gogmazios, and I don't know, just maybe like Iacris, because it's always a great test, seeing whether you should go in for more or get out when it's doing the underwater discharge.
Oh yeah, it is a very risk-reward thing. Kazoo does that pretty well too, I think.
Yeah. I think Chris has more tells though when he does it, whereas Kazu's just kind of like, my body's just gonna move a little bit and then bam. Whereas Chris actually kind of like wraps up and then does it every time.
Yeah.
I think I mostly like Chris because he does it once.
Yeah. He doesn't spam it over and over.
Yeah.
He doesn't fake you out, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I like his colors too.
So you kind of answered our normal last question, what's your main weapon? So, longsword, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I may be joining you in Monster Hunter World as a longsword main. Still
Come to the dark side.
kind of debating that, but
So, can I ask then, Haru, what is it about longsword that drew you to it versus other weapons?
Oh, I actually started on like the switch axe and try. I don't know. I just I think it's mainly the reach that really helps. I get so annoyed not reaching tails with like dual blades and stuff.
I feel that.
yeah, it was my go-to tail cutter when I was a hammer main.
Oh yeah, it is nice to be able to actually reach up and hit things as well.
Yeah, what's funny, I watched your stream-ish kind of thing that happened on the 22nd. And I noticed that you had a really easy time cutting off tails with the longsword.
Oh yeah,
Like they came off real fast.
yeah. It was awesome.
I think the weapon I usually go to when I'm gonna cut a tail, it's not actually longsword, which is surprising to me because I used to be. In Generations, what I ended up always using was lance.
Yes, actually, I'll agree with that.
Because when it was on the ground, you could charge spam it because I was playing Striker Lance, in which it would break off in like 2 hits, or you could just be poking over and over up into the sky.
I think the reason I go with lance over longsword for cutting tails usually is because if I'm using longsword, I'll end up inadvertently killing the monster before I cut the tail, because longsword does a lot of damage when you miss the tail and hit the body.
Yeah.
But with the lance, you can specifically aim like exclusively at the tail without having to worry about, oh, this swing is just going to destroy the rest of the monster.
Definitely.
All right. Well, cool. That's probably one of our fastest intros we've done.
Most of the time we just ramble on and on.
So we'll just get right into it. Just discussing just sort of general stuff about the beta. So Haru, we'll have you start off. Did you like the beta, or is there things you didn't like, or how do you feel about it?
It's the best beta ever. And I'm willing to go on record.
Okay.
I just really like played around with everything. Like, I hunted, of course, to begin with, and then I actually went around like a biologist, like crouching through the leaves and like taking PS4 screenshots of like all of the little different creatures and trying to capture them and get their
Cool.
Item description.
That's kind of cool.
I was hoping someone would do that because.
Also,
sorry, what?
I was gonna say that also that sounds like how they always have the player playing in like the demos and the teasers and stuff like that. It's like, oh, you're doing the game
Look
trailer
at this
version
bug.
of the game.
Yeah, every single time they did the Wildspire Waste one, it would be like they stop in their tracks after Baroth fell over, and you're like, hit it! And he just like walks over to the rock. It's like, look at all the ants! And you're like, stop, go hit the monster.
I always liked how they would stop at each of the. I get that they were wanting to show off the new mechanic, but whenever they were like tracking the monster down, they would stop at each footprint and to grab it. It's like, no, just grab it while you're running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, I really like the animation they have for some of them.
Oh, it's nice. I love the scraping, the one where you pull out the vial and you scrape some mud into it and flip it closed. I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Never gonna use it, but it looks cool.
I mean, I do.
I did.
Sorry, go ahead.
So if I could just... No, it's okay. If I could just like throw in a little tidbit, like the ants, right? There's a lot of ants in this game. They're called like carrier ants, and you can actually find them in like the different environments in the forest as well as the waste.
Oh, really?
And you'll find them in these little trails going across the ground, and you can see like a little shiny speck in the trail. And if you like gather it, I've gotten a Jagger scale from one of them, and I've also gotten like a great Jagger scale. So apparently you can get like low tier monster mats.
That's funny.
That's pretty cool. I'll have to definitely pay attention to that.
Yeah, well, something else I noticed with just like the random animals, there was the shepherd hares, and it said in their description that if you follow them, they usually go to shortcuts around the areas, and I was seeing them going to like just little corners where you could walk straight back to a camp and stuff like that. It's kind of cool.
What? That's cool.
Yeah, they did a lot of cool stuff with the environment this time around.
Especially like the wedge beetles that you can Spider-Man on.
Still didn't manage to pull it off. I don't know why. I just didn't get... I don't know if you have to be prompted for it
You
or...
look at it and you push O.
It's not immediate. You have to look at it for like a second, and you'll see it unfold, and then you can push O, And
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to use like the slinger's aim down sight sort of thing, and then press a
yeah,
circle.
you have to hold L2 and then look at it and press O.
Okay, that's probably why. I was
Oh,
expecting
okay,
it
yeah.
to just prompt
I
me.
wasn't thinking about how you weren't looking at it, because I was like, oh, you just look at it. But yeah.
No, you have to
if
actually.
you weren't using the slinger, you wouldn't notice it. It wouldn't activate.
Yeah, you have to ADS as the FPS people use.
It is so. Sorry, let me move my mic. It is so interesting having to get used to using the slinger. Still, like even with all the demo, it's still a change that I have to get used to.
I
But it's so useful once you know how to use
used it all the time. I would pick up those red berries or whatever they were, the red shot, and as a monster's running away, I just pelt them. I just
I saw that.
That is the time when I usually use it as a desperation, like, no, stop running. I like the one that sets them on fire. That's
the
fun.
bombs.
Yeah, there was the other one. There was the bright moss. I thought was really cool because you can use it to blind the monster, and you can just kind of fire it at walls, and you can make him glow. And then there was the puddle pods, which you could use on Baroth, and you could wash them off.
I didn't try that. That sounds cool.
A quick note about bright moss: that only works on flying wyverns. Doesn't
Really?
Yep.
Specifically.
So no.
Yeah, they have to be
PPK?
flying. They have to be in the air.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
By the way, did you see the because I was talking about like overcoming and getting used to new systems. You saw the animation on the front page where the person's trying to use a sonic bomb on Diablos, but they're just trying to use it from their inventory instead of like shooting it out of their slinger.
Oh,
So when they go to throw it, it's just them loading their slinger and then they die.
That sucks. Yeah, I don't blame people for doing that, though. I bet I'm going to do that a few times.
Yeah, I
Like,
bet when
jump to it as fast as possible and then just load it.
But once it comes out, I know it's going to be like super, you'll be like, oh, clearly, it's that. But, in the demo, you're still thinking with old years of Monster Hunter knowledge.
assuming you're an old player.
Oh, right. That's right. There's going to be so many new players. I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
Why are the monsters running away all the time?
Yeah,
Where's
I feel like it's definitely harking back to Monster Hunter 1 days. They definitely run. It kind of makes sense-ish, I think. They realize they're
Sorry,
Part of it
I'm
may
just-
also be
like,
the...
nope, gotta go.
What's the word I'm looking for? Part of it may also be the the whole demo thing. Like, it's easier to break parts in the demo. It's easier to knock people over in the demo. It just maybe
They
scaled
want to
up
show
for
off
the
different
demo.
areas.
Yeah, look, the monster's going back to its nest instead of like somebody just downing it in the first room they see it in.
Right. So what you were saying something, Haru?
Oh no, yeah, I was just making a little sarcastic joke at the new players. I love new players. I want all the new players to join the game. It's great. Everyone hold hands.
I think what's going to end up happening, and like, I know we're going to be having a lot of new people just because of the way this is being released, but I think it will be a lot easier for people to get into it, and I don't think we're going to have that many problems. Especially since it's a co-op game instead of a PvP.
Right, definitely.
That's true. And also, as much as everybody was initially hesitant about the button prompts, that's going to be amazing for new people. Especially like the whole the great sword charging mechanic doesn't, you see a lot of people just kind of swinging around a great sword, not charging it because, nobody knows that without testing it out or without getting told, oh yeah, the great sword charges its attacks.
It's kind of weird. I saw a video from Gaijin Hunter today. It actually just auto-played. I was watching something else this morning. But Gaijin Hunter talked about the third chain of like charging slashes only has 2 charges. So if you're waiting for the third one, it'll downgrade.
I did not know that.
So, and I was like, oh, yeah, I've been downgrading that charge whenever I use it. So, that's cool to know. So, I mean, the nuance of mechanics is definitely still there, even with the button prompts.
I can tell you for a fact if I hadn't watched a video or had the button prompts for this one or anything like that, I would have never learned how to play Charge Blade initially. Like, I would have just put down the weapon because it wouldn't seem to do anything. without knowing how to charge your files and how to charge your shield and all the extra stuff. The game didn't teach you that for you.
Yeah, I would have never picked it up if it hadn't been for Gaijin Hunter talking about guard points.
And then now you'll have actual things in the top right that kind of tell you, and the training area, which is the greatest thing.
I went in there once on the first day of the first beta. That was it.
I went in there and then when I was in there, changed to every single weapon to try it out and see what changed. And then I still learned new stuff because after I finished with the training area, I was like, oh, I'm done learning. I know all the changes. And then you guys were telling me new button presses and stuff, and then I would see videos be like, oh, do you know you can do this too? No,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, after the first beta ended, I posted like a video and I was like, okay, this is all the aerial attacks in Monster Hunter World, the definitive list.
Wait,
and
you
then,
made that?
Yeah, and then someone replied, I think it was Kurao, I don't know how to say that, and they had like all these different interactions like unsheathed with the mushroom walls that the different weapons had. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, running up walls is so dynamic. It's really useful, and a lot of people didn't use it.
I used it.
I think I got it off once on accident.
I specifically tried to use it against Rathalos.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, I attempted several times to take down both Rathalos and Diablos and failed miserably all those times solo.
I got him down once with the gun lance.
Nice.
I just used longsword because I was just trying to focus on one weapon.
Diablos or Rathalos, Lobo?
Wrath.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say that part of it is just learning the new monster and the new mechanics of that kind of stuff. And part of it is just like bad luck, especially with Rathalos. I would, like one time I was trying to do that trick where you blow up the wall on the nest and he falls down.
The flood.
Yeah. Yeah, he just jumped up over it and just flew off, and I fell down.
Oh no.
So I was like, well, that was a bust, so I just went at the Jagras instead.
So a lot of video, like speedruns I saw of Rathalos, or Rathalos, whatever you call it. The most that I saw, what they would do is they throw down the two large barrel bombs immediately when he was sitting there, and then they would drop every single small barrel bomb because it actually did a fair amount of damage on him. It was like 20, 20, 20, 20, because when you went to set down another one, it would give you super armor against the explosion, and they go just sitting there in one spot. And then the last one, they put two up against the walls where it flooded, the two small barrel bombs that they had left.
Yeah.
And then those ones would bust it, and by the time that he was roaring, it would the water would rush down, and he would get knocked off the cliff.
I tried to fight him the first time when that happened. I was like, I'm going to fight him, and just like at some point, I'm just going to blow up the wall. And that didn't work. So I just blew up the wall immediately this second, when I did do it. I had him limping several times, but I think
Nice.
the problem is just the time limit for me. Like I said, I'm not an amazing hunter. I'm okay. So, I mean, some of it was just learning, and some of it was just me not being fast enough. So
did you get the flash pods?
No, I just don't use items. That's part of it too.
Oh yeah. So you were probably stuck a lot of times where he was in the air and you were just trying to cut at his tail. Yep.
So I had finally the most scary moment I've ever had in a Monster Hunter game, probably, because it was so unexpected, and I was really struggling during the beta at one point, because I was trying to take on Puke, and then Jagras showed up. I almost forgot his name again. Jagras showed up, and so I was trying to fight them both at the same time. And then I got confirmation that a third monster can show up while you're already fighting two. And I had Anjanath, Jagras, and Puke all in the same room, all attacking each other. And I'm just like, just trying.
Did any of you guys?
I was just saying, like, just trying not to die. It was a struggle.
Yeah. So speaking of Puke, I did kill him once. I did see him several times. I fought him specifically one time just to see how he was. But did anyone see any special interactions that Puke did with another monster or anything?
I think I saw him hit somebody with poison. I think. I could be wrong.
I don't think he has one as of yet, if he has any.
I managed to take his tail off.
Yeah, Puke.
They probably only
and
have
Kuliaku, I think they just use like canned breath attacks or jump attacks on other monsters.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a weird fight. He chain comboed me. He almost killed me.
Yeah, I've heard that he's more aggressive in multiplayer, but because there's multiple people, he gets trashed. And then in solo, he seems to be a lot calmer, and he looks around like he's very. He just doesn't he doesn't really attack that much. He goes idle a lot.
Right. I didn't see him do his poison tail attack at all in the beta.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't either.
He probably will do it with more people, I think, because that seems to be one of those he'd rather bite and swing at you and spit poison and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I loved his feeding animation, by the way. When he bailed out the feed. Yeah, where he's hovering in the air, kind of feeding, and you're just sitting there, and you're like, "Oh, are you gonna come down? Do I have to shoot you with the slinger?"
Yeah, I have seen him with his tail filled up though in some footage from the 10-hour thing they did over in Japan. They had some footage of Puke from the actual game, and he was definitely using his tail then, and it was really cool, because he had his mouth filled up, he has tail filled up, and he's doing all these different poison attacks.
Was that 10-hour stream full game, though? Was
What?
that from the full game and not the beta?
Yeah, it wasn't a stream, it was they played for 10 hours of the game, and then they do through low rank, I think, is what happened.
Yeah.
And then they were allowed to show off certain footage. That's kind of the pool of footage Eric's has been using in his videos so far.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of stuff we didn't get to see just because it's beta. And I think the reason why we're seeing Kula Yuka, or whatever his name is, Bird, Egg Thief, and Puke is just because they found out, we accidentally left him in certain scenarios. Let's just allow that to happen, I think is what happened.
I never actually got to fight Egg Thief.
I didn't try. I didn't see him.
Or Pot Thrower, as some people called him.
I found the base camp where there's clay pots in Ancient Forest.
Oh yeah?
In the east of it.
Oh really?
So I'm just speculating if that's involved with the cutscenes about Puke. What is the lore Kuliaku? What is the lore surrounding Rockburb?
Honestly, it might just be like a magpie where it shiny things.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
That's at least what I think. Just because it looks like that type of bird where it grabs stuff that's interesting and tries to take off with it.
Yeah, I really hope there's he has a horde somewhere you can go smash, and then he'll immediately come over there.
Yeah.
We need you to go recover our grandma's pot.
Quest.
It's like an egg. It's like an egg quest, but with
quest
an ancient
descriptions.
Pot. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Oh man. So
I'm gonna try to actually reading all the quest descriptions in this one. I haven't in all the previous games because lots of quests, but I'm gonna try with this one.
I usually do, but then I gave up on Generations because they're all copy and paste.
There's actually a RuPaul drag reference in Generations, I think it is.
What was it?
RuPaul's Drag Race. The feline name is Paul, like Pawl. And then it's having you get some special fragrance, I think, and it says at the very end is this is your chance and don't mess it up instead of the normal.
Yeah.
It was yes, that's great.
I remember
I've seen all 7 seasons or something of that show, thanks to my wife.
It is great. It is a great show.
It actually is good. I at first I was like, this is stupid, but I kind of liked it at the end.
I remember it was
So.
Well, speaking of, sorry.
I was just in Monster Hunter Tri, the quest descriptions for the volcano, it was weird because they would always reference the like volcano tribe or the fire tribe, and it was confusing because there wasn't like another village in that game.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I thought the villagers in Monster Hunter were like specifically very spaced out because of the whole, monsters everywhere thing.
Right? Yeah. It was just strange to me that they didn't have that village in the game, and they were writing about it.
Because I remember reading the lore somewhere that said the reason that the villages are so spaced apart and so like small and usually not big cities is because big cities ended up attracting like actual problem monsters and stuff like that. So it was better that they be very far apart and very, very heavily guarded when they're big cities.
That makes sense. It's probably right. It's like a Attack on Titan or something.
Except Attack on Titan's like, we put you all in one little space and nowhere else.
Brutal show.
Well, just going on the kind of discussion we almost had about Puke Puke and Kulayaku, I'm just curious about your overall feelings about them. Because my thoughts about Puke Puke were that he was idle a lot, he didn't really attack that much, and I know it's because he's an easier monster, but Kulayaku was very aggressive once he got a rock. Like, crazy aggressive.
I'll have to look up some video. I don't have an opinion on him because, again, never fought him and I didn't get to see very much. And
Same.
then with Puke, though, I loved his colors. He seemed to be very relaxed. I know, like, everybody's, like, saying idle a lot, but he reminds me of, like, some of those monsters that don't exactly want to fight. Where they're just kind of like, why? It reminds me of a friendly Chameleos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is also low rank, and he's probably a low tier.
Also, by the way, just a side note, I don't know if there's been it's in the leak or not or anything like that, but I really hope Chameleos shows up because the idea of an open world with an invisible monster is awesomely terrifying, and
I'm very
he's one of my
hopeful for
favorites.
Yeah.
But
Out
do
of
we
those
want
three,
that though?
yes, definitely.
Aw.
Because he, out of the three, which is Teostra, Kushala, and him, he is the most manageable, which is funny because he goes invisible.
There's
Mostly because the other one.
there's
But to be
four.
fair, which ones are they?
Lunastra.
Kushala. Oh, Lunastra. Well, until now, she would be a copy and paste of Teostra.
I always thought
mostly.
Lunastra would be neat if it was a fire variant versus Teostric has the blast.
Blast,
Luna
yeah.
has the actual fire.
That kind of was the case before Blast was a thing. They were both fire.
Well, yeah, they were both fire, but they still used explosions with the powder. And it was depending on the color, it would explode or not.
I don't remember Monster having powder. But
I might
it's
be
been a
thinking
long
specifically
time,
of...
So
It would be very neat, by the way, because you mentioned you'd be more excited for Chameleos than Kushala. I think Kushala would be neat, specifically if when he showed up, it would change the weather on the map. Like, you're fighting out there, and suddenly, like, it starts storming and thundering and everything like that. And then out of nowhere, Kushi shows up, and you're like,
Kushi. And, my thought about, like, when I said to Haru, like, definitely I want Chameleos over the other two. It's because his AI was much more interesting, and it was just, understandable, where the other ones just hopped around. But now that's going to be all different, because they have to remake it, because of the way everything's set up.
Right.
So, that may be completely out the window. They may be perfect now, if they overhauled them.
maybe it'll be like if you remember the cutscenes from for Chameleos, where he's one of the few monsters that's hunting you. Have him actually be stalking you as you're in this open world.
Then just pop up, take out the monster. Oh, I'm here now. They have to fight me. That would
Imagine
suck.
how much more confusing the Ancient Forest will be with an invisible monster.
Invading
yeah.
Chameleos. Make him an invading monster like Devil, Joe.
Especially if he can, interact with the trees like we've seen,
Right.
Tobi
with
Kadachi. Because
that's
he
so cool, that
is able to
animation.
jump onto trees and jump off. What were you saying, Haru?
I love that animation with it, like, going out of, like, the invisible wall, like, bounds of the environment and jumping off the trees. That's neat.
It's very cool. Yeah, I cannot wait to fight Tobi Kadachi. I love how he looks, especially when he goes into his rage mode and he has that beautiful silver hair that comes up on his back. It looks so cool.
Did they confirm if there's going to be invading monsters in Worlds?
I don't think there's going to be, and the only reason I'm saying that is because we know that there are certain types of monsters that appear on the maps, and there's always 3. And I think the big thing now is just going to be, oh, there are multiple monsters here at all times, every time. So it's almost like they are invading. You just have to go into the quest, and they're either already there or they're not.
Because the two things that make me think of it is the fact that now we can have 4 in a map now because of Poke, and maybe that 4th slot will be filled by an invading monster.
No, Poke replaced other monsters. Same with Yaku.
Did Poke replace other monsters?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I was able to get Angianeth, Poke, and Jagras.
He replaces
Well, he can replace any of them, apparently.
Except the
No, if Rathalos doesn't spawn, then you have a chance of getting Poke.
Huh. I didn't see it, but I saw someone discussing it. I don't remember where, though. They might have been wrong, so you're probably right.
So what?
But that's just the beta.
Yeah. Because I was thinking...
I think it's going to be... So you know how in other games, you have... it's unstable. Okay, this monster has a random chance, this monster has a random chance, this monster has a random chance. Right. I think that's how it's going to be in this one, except they're already going to be spawned, and there's just 2 other ones.
So I saw something about this, I think it was from Eric's videos, and I don't remember if this was like free hunt or in a quest, but there's like a little notification on the screen that's like, Rathalos has like left the hunting ground or something to that effect. So whoa. I think they are gonna like dynamically enter and leave.
In and out.
Yeah,
but
so it's gonna be like the expeditions in 4U, where they go, oh, it's getting away, and you have to take it out before it leaves forever, and all the things you did were wasted.
I hope not.
They might be a little bit nicer about it, like once you started fighting it. As long as you don't just kind of like leave it for a while, it'll stay.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to be tracking it to know it left,
Right. One thing I'd like to say is I think that very early on, like when we're talking like, what was the first big event? Gamescom.
Mm-hmm.
When Gamescom footage was coming out, I think they confirmed, and I guess could be expeditions only, but I think they said that there could be up to 5 monsters on a map.
Because I'm just thinking if a monster invades and you're gathering tracks, and then suddenly you gather a track that's not belonging to any monster you've seen.
Sorry, but I have to be
fun.
I have to be Mr. Well, actually, because the weird like quickfire like Game Informer interview, I'm pretty sure they said like there's a maximum of 3 at a time, like present on the map.
Oh, okay. So there's, well, maybe you might be getting it confused, or Fortuan, you might be getting it confused with 4U, because I do know that in expeditions up to 5 could spawn and then they would stop, and that might be what's going to happen.
I mean, I wouldn't be confusing it with that.
Mm-hmm.
That could be outdated information.
It might be both in that there's 5 that can spawn.
But that definitely came from Gamescom.
But only 3 will be quote quote present at the same time. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, we won't know until we try it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was to say I could be wrong. I'm not saying like
I'd also think that since 3 was hectic enough, I feel like having 5 all together fighting each other would be almost too much.
I would almost never think that you would get all 5 in a room if there was 5. I'm thinking just 5
entitled
per quest could appear.
It's just 5 Devil Joes.
Like all those multi-monster quests from 4 Generations with like 5 monster icons, but they're just all in the one room, just like looking at each other.
That's the only thing I love the custom quests for. I thought they were funny.
What I want to do, so you know those people that went into Dark Souls and they had like boss versus boss. I mean, you could easily do that in this game as long as you allowed them to actually do damage towards each other. Because I noticed that in the beta, the only times they actually did damage towards each other were like specific attacks. It was either when they did their turf wars, they'd do a ton of damage, or if they still kind of looked like they set up with each other, like Raytheon and Baroth. Raytheon would. This was a very specific time I watched some footage, like from IGN or something. And Raytheon tail swung Baroth, but he wasn't looking at her. He just kind of walked off, and she still did damage to him. But then all the other no. She didn't do damage with the tail swing, but the poison did damage. All the other things that they did to each other, they didn't do damage to each other.
They may not always show the damage numbers, kind of similar how you can't always see allies. Maybe they are actually hurting each other, and they're just not showing you the number.
Yeah, the other thing was in one of those Capcom TV wacky live streams, they showed of the Rotten Veil. They showed like Gyros, that monster, paralyzing Odogaron.
Yep.
So maybe you're onto something with the status effects.
Yeah, they might be staying with. Like, they might be sticking to the idea that they can put status effects on each other, and they can do these cool attacks on each other, but besides that, we don't want them to be so broken that they kill each other for you?
I don't know. Because in my experience with... I did a lot of let them fight between Baroth and Diablos, just to see what happens. And even when they're not just going at each other, for instance, I was purposely... standing between the two and then jumping out of the way, or putting lining myself up so they're both in front of me. That kind of thing. They were still hitting each other. In fact, I actually had Baroth break Diablos' horn inadvertently by charging him.
So then that means that they're just not showing it.
I didn't say that. I don't know if there was damage numbers. I wasn't paying attention to it, but they're still hitting each other. So I don't think that just regular attacks are being ignored. I think that there's a spectacle of like the sort of versus each other kind of thing. And I think there's more than we think there are, maybe less cinematic ones. Like, there was actually, specific animations when Baroth charges and hits Giratatis several times. Yeah, there's a special way that Giratatis, sort of flops out of the water. It's different. He actually goes at an angle and actually gets flipped over. That kind of stuff.
Okay.
There's a lot more subtlety to it than I think we realize, because, well, again, a lot of the problems we're having is seeing this stuff is the beta, so we have reduced health, we have obviously not a final build,
higher flinches,
especially if we're not seeing certain things from like Puke, because we see we were talking about here, all the stuff that came from Japan that was like a full game playthrough versus the beta. We've not, none of us saw Puke poison with his tail, and he maybe felt stunted. I didn't feel he felt stunted. He did a lot of the same attacks, though. He spammed his tongue attack a lot.
His poison hits pretty hard, too. Yeah.
So, it was... I think that a lot of the issues that we have, just, kind of discerning what's going on
beta
is
weirdness.
Just the fact that it's the beta. Which sucks. I really wish that it would have just been a slice of the real game, but I'm starting to think that really it's just an old build.
I'll say this still, it's still better than the previous ones, because there's been early weirdness with all of them.
Yeah.
Now that I know better, I will say this is the first one that gave us an almost okay bow gun, because at first I was complaining because I was like, oh, there's no rapid fire, there's no crouching shot. It turns out
because you didn't test it.
Crouching shot's gone. And rapid fire is in the game. It's just not as indicated as it used to be.
A giant color, yeah.
But then I went back and tried the old betas from, from the 4U beta, and it's much better than the 4U beta.
So 4U beta, they did not have rapid fire on the
They didn't have a rapid fire. They didn't have a siege fire.
That's so dumb.
Or sorry, that's right. It did have I think it was a rapid fire and a siege fire, but it was rapid firing and siege firing normal one shots. Which, you might
give too much power.
You might as well just smack the thing with the butt of your gun for all you're doing with normal one shots.
I mean, what we've seen so far in World, that does a fair amount of damage, which is funny.
Yeah.
Really? I never
Team Darkside did a light bowgun butt smacking on Gerotatus, Gerotatus, whatever, and they were smacking him in the face, and it was doing 17 and 25, like, it was like 2 attacks, and it was doing impact damage, and they were KOing him over and over, and it was just him walking up and slowly smacking him in the face for like 30 damage.
That's silly.
Which, you know, it's
I'll blame the
acceptable
beta
damage.
for that.
Pulse
I did
pounding
hear
action.
that the bow's arrow slash thing is actually worth something for once.
Yeah, if you can hit if you hit Puke's face, it was doing like 39 damage every hit, which is actually extreme. Especially when you consider that was mounting damage, which means he could jump onto its back and then put it on the ground and then keep doing it. The only problem, it's really hard to aim. That's what I saw anyway. You move a lot when you leap.
It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around dodging, then aiming out of the dodge, because it has sort of carries over the momentum from the dodge to a degree. Yeah. It's great when you can just stab your arrow down into the monster and hop on its back.
Yeah, it looked very cool. I don't think anyone's gonna get that many mounts. I mean, they're definitely gonna get a lot of mounts, but I mean, you're not gonna see the best kills with it.
So, Haru, what did you think of the 2 new monsters, by the way?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Sorry,
right.
I just realized we were talking, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They weren't super exciting, I guess. I mean, it's awesome to see new content. When they were being very coy, they didn't say anything about anything was going to be new in the beta. But yeah, I guess with Puke, I was kind of needing a little bit more of that purple. Wanted some more poison attacks. And I liked Fuliaku. It was fun to have to dodge around its rock of deflection.
Oh, is it really deflecting? Like I said, I never got to fight it. Is it the rock that annoying frog Tetsukabra carries?
Yeah, just a lot smaller for the jaggy size. It'll bounce at basically any attack.
Oh wow!
Except ones with super armor.
I wouldn't say it's like Tetsukabra. It's more like if you think about how Shigaru, when he moves around and just kind of quickly slams his hand in front of him, that's kind of what I'd equate it to. He does he does multiple things. He does, he pecks over it at the ground in front of him. He'll kind of hop forward and smash the ground, and then he'll turn and hop forward and smash the ground. And then he had another one where he kind of hops back almost like, what's his name? Oh, there's so many monsters now.
Weird names,
The first monster in Generations.
Macau. The Great Macau.
Oh.
Great Macau, yeah. Well, he springs back on his tail. This guy just kind of he hops and gets a little crazy. And then he flies up in the air and he smashes the rock into the ground and breaks it. And that was his most damaging move. It still wasn't that damaging, but it was funny to watch.
That's pretty much like Tetsukabra, though.
Yeah.
Jumps
that definitely
bites down on
was.
the rock.
That definitely was.
Yeah.
The other ones,
you have
it was
to
just
aim
how
around the
quick
rock.
in succession they were, and he wasn't just smashing it and waiting to get another rock. He also didn't move slow with it. He also moved around pretty fast with it.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. He's much more aggressive when he has it, which was cool.
Does he ever throw it, or does it actually hit pretty hard getting hit by the pot?
He throws
I
it
never
sometimes.
saw him using a pot.
Oh.
I think the pot was the monster intro cutscene or something in the trailer.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. He does pick up an egg to eat.
Really? That's kind of cool. I honestly, I know that's something very small, but that's something I was paying attention to during the beta, is how monsters went and fed and ate. Obviously, we know about Jagras with his, swallow an entire Apanoth whole. But the others were very interesting in that they actually had patterns instead of just kind of walking over to a random, undescript corpse.
So my wife actually had something to say about the Jagras eating Aptonoth hole. I have pointed this out multiple times since the reveal of the game. that Jagras does that, but her and her love relationship with her phone, she doesn't really pay attention to a lot of stuff. I'm trying to show her about the game, but she actually did sit down and watch me play a couple things. She wanted to see about it, and she saw it eat an Aptonoth, and she was like, "Is it going to keep? It's going to eat that whole thing, isn't it?" I was like, "Yep." Now watch this, and I made it basically puke it all back out. She was like, "Oh, now I see why you're excited about this game."
It's that little levels of detail, kind of like in previously in Generations. The one that blew my mind in that one was Mitsune goes to eat fish. It doesn't have a corpse; it'll find a fishing hole and just kind of chill there eating.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the little details, I saw someone posting on the Monster Hunter subreddit how if you break Diablos' horn with a slashing weapon, it'll actually cut the horn off, whereas if you use a hammer or other impact type weapon, it'll smash the horn to pieces.
Really?
Which is really cool. Another thing I saw was that when you cut tails that look a little bit more meaty, more colored inside of it, you can actually tell that they're kind of they get paler, they're running out of blood.
Okay.
On the inside, which is really cool.
In that same post, I also saw that Barroth's head crest can't be removed
That's
with
good.
the slashing.
When you slash it, it removes it like a single piece, whereas when you smash it with a hammer, it shatters it.
Yep. I hadn't taken off a head crest aside from the hammer when I used it against Barroth, but
you said Barroth.
No,
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Diablos. I was like, that's what I said.
So I never.
I get what you're talking about.
I never got to take off the head crest.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
With a longsword, but then again, every time I was using longsword, I was
only
just
ever broke his.
How fast can I take it
Diablos'
down?
face
kind of thing.
with
So
Gunlance,
really
but that's just because
being inefficient.
Blast attacks have always been amazing at destroying horns and crests and stuff like that.
Diablos and Barroth both had very hard heads, so when you were using Gunlance, it didn't matter that it was a piece that didn't take that much damage. It still did a ton because it was shelling. Unfortunately, that always looks good at the beginning in every single demo, and then you go to the end game, and then shells do nothing.
By the way, I wanted to point out, I finally did see the you had mentioned last podcast about the Great Jagras, how its dreads became kind of bloodied and messed up the more the fight went on, especially after you mounted it. And I did see, that does change. Same thing with Rathalos' wings get real messed up.
Oh yeah, it limps when it flies away. It's all floppy and can't fly.
So
I was actually paying attention to how things broke this time around, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, despite me not being able to take either Rathalos or Diablos down, I did get them both down pretty far. And a couple times I had Diablos with both horns cut off and his tail off, and he was in bad shape. And he would just limp off or that kind of thing. But I never got that finishing blow on either one. Now one of the one I probably could have taken down Diablos one time, but family things happened, family coming over. And I had 5 minutes left on the quest, and he was limping, and I was like, I'm finally going to do it. And then someone showed up, and I had to put the game down. And I was talking, and I'm watching my character just stand there as the quest timer is going, and then it's quest over, and I was like, no, I could have done it.
The wrath of the lack of the pause button.
Yeah. I think it's just because of the beta. There'll probably be a pause button.
And also,
could
you not go to your PS4 main menu or something? You know how you can, on a lot of things, kind of back out of the game semi?
It keeps running.
It kept running it, I think.
Oh, it does? Okay.
By the way, this is the first time in a while I've had to yell at somebody, I can't pause, I'm online.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've had to say, I can't pause the game now, but for Monster Hunter, it was real, I cannot stop right now. Just wait for 30 seconds.
If I'm not mistaken,
you
could
do it in
try.
Those are the ones I didn't play those, though.
No, actually, you could go to the that pause menu for the home button for the Wii. I'm pretty sure you could do it. You couldn't in the game click a pause button.
Okay.
But you could use the Wii menu.
I know the original PS2 games you couldn't pause either. So that was always a thing. But yeah, my wife was telling me multiple times, you gotta pause, someone's here, and I'm like, I literally can't. I'm just gonna put it down. Actually, the quest that I killed, Puke, basically I killed Puke, and then I set the controller down, and I just sat there and waited. I noticed that the day and night transition was literally tied to just the quest timer.
Yes.
I never noticed that before. I was just so focused on killing things. It was like, it's starting to turn night. That means the quest is almost done. So,
well,
that's kind of
cool.
But it also makes me think, like, if that sort of correlates with the whole 15-minute timeline, I think that a lot of us may never see night.
Yeah, like a quest before would
see
start
them.
at night.
Yeah.
I could definitely see them having it start at night, because there's not really that much of a difference besides the fact that, there's certain things that you'll see at night. There were certain bugs that apparently only show up at night.
I want to hunt Toby at nighttime.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like, I think he would be probably one of the best of, like, oh yeah, it's clearly a problem.
I like the idea, because this came up a while ago. Someone asked a question, like, what? The quest is only like 50 minutes. Like, they do a lot in one day, just sort of talking about, like, lore-wise. And I was like, I think the idea of one quest takes a full day of hunting. I think, the time limit is just the game mechanic of us as gamers, having a limit to beat that quest.
Because, like,
I think in the context of the game, I think
you would go out on a quest. Not through you, because it took it out. And then you would arrive back from the quest at, like, the next integer of time. Like, you went out during the day, you come back at night, and vice versa. And that was interesting, because it created sort of like a flow to hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you were doing some of those quests in the free hunt area in Try.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, no, this only comes out at night. So you're like, oh crap, well, what am I going to goof around until night?
Yeah, you go into the expedition or the free hunt in the day for 15 minutes so you can come back and go in the night.
Yeah.
I think it was 5 minutes was the amount of time you needed to be out before it would change to the next day.
So I would generally, because I did play a little bit of 3U when I went back recently. And I tried that out, the whole, like, okay, crap, now I have to wait and stall for a couple days, I would generally AFK, but several times I'd come back and have been carded because something would take a disliking to me.
Oh yeah, you ran out into an active area. Or you ran out into, like, the main first area and you had a Kelby hit you 5 times.
Yeah, so, yeah, Kelbys can totally kill you if you're AFK.
Did anyone see that you can... When you break the horns on Kelbys, they're actually gone, and on the Kelby.
Yep, I saw that. That was really funny.
I did not know
that.
That's nice for once.
I also noticed that, shinies on the ground, they're now replaced by just little blocks, like little chips that you kind of can find.
Yeah, they're like an actual scale.
Yeah, like it's kind of like a little, just like a... Generally, it's the color of the monster, or it's like a whitish brown color if it's Baroth or something.
They can be red.
And it's just sitting on the ground. Oh, well, red, I think Eric's was talking about it. He said that they are actually slinger ammo, and they're something that's actually good specifically towards the monster.
Red pits.
No, it was something else.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was called
exactly. There's bomb ammo that does a ton of damage that are typically that red thing.
Yeah, I saw that, and it only has like 3 ammo on it.
Yes, but it does a lot.
So, like, how it works is you have to, like, as you damage the monster, those little shiny red things will fall off of it. You can pick them up. Yeah, and I think weaker monsters, like the 2 new ones, they'll drop a piercer, which it works like a bow's piercer shot.
Yep.
And really? And then I think Baroth drops both, like, Bomb and Thorn, and Thorn, like, actually, like, in 3D, like, sticks onto a monster's leg, and as you, like, hit it with attacks, it'll, like, flinch it then.
Oh, that's what I saw.
That's kind of cool.
I was wondering what that was. I saw someone attacking a monster had a little spiky thing on it. That's what it was.
So, we had a question at the end of last podcast, that I actually wanted to pose to you, Haru. I don't know if you've
Okay.
listened to the last podcast yet, but minor spoiler alert. Is there anything about the beta you did not enjoy? Like, any specific criticisms?
Hmm. Um.
I actually did think of one, Fortuan. Although I didn't have it last time, I do have one now.
Well, I think we could break it down into specifics. I think we could talk about maybe monsters or weapons in general. They're parts that you may or may not have liked. And then we can talk about, actual
Well,
elements of it being a beta, maybe that you don't like.
the recording's getting a bit long. That's why I'm trying to...
Are we at an hour? Am
No,
I reading this wrong? I
But
don't
you
think
can go
we're
ahead
too
and
bad.
answer, Haru.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I guess it's just you didn't get like necessarily the struggle, like with the shortened time limits and the monsters where they're have less health and do a little bit less damage, and their like thresholds for flinching and things are lower.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was sort of like the start of Generations, where it's not as like the stakes aren't as high, I guess. I
Oh
was really
yeah,
positive.
Generations was interesting to play at the beginning. I was worried when I first started playing it. Still hard though. I thought it was still a good game overall, challenge-wise.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, at least
Um,
I get what you mean, though.
I'm not really a stickler about difficulty, so I was pretty positive on the beta.
Mhm.
I don't know, what did you guys find irritating?
So, my final frustration, the one that finally actually got to me, was when I was trying to hunt Puke Puke, and he ran off to the northeaster area, trying to navigate my way through all the up and down and side paths of the northeast part of that forest was the most lost I've ever been in a Monster Hunter game.
And even
Like,
when you
it
pinned him,
was-
the bugs were no help.
Oh, the bugs were like, I'd have no idea. Like one of them, they would tell me to crawl through this little crawl space, so I would do that, and then I would look around, and the bugs were heading back towards the little crawl space, so I'd crawl through it again, and so
And
they
then
would
they
tell
go
me to go back through it. I'm like, make up your mind, guys. Like, tell me where I'm supposed to go.
Hmm.
It's like a GPS that was slightly broken, and
Yeah.
there are so
Yeah.
many paths in the northeast. I
Yeah,
was
that's
just
like that whole.
lost.
That's like that whole randomly, it's all these weird green platforms that are just all randomly there, and they aren't used by any of the monsters currently. It's really
I
weird.
mean, I think it makes sense because, oh, it's a deep jungle.
Yeah.
But at the same time, since we have such limited time, we're not used to running it like, everybody has the planes from Monster Hunter 1 still memorized. But, it's going to be a while before I memorize these new maps because they're not just a flat,
Oh, definitely.
I think you
10
mean the
areas
Forest
connected with
Hills.
lines.
Yes.
That's what I meant. Sorry. I didn't play the first one, so it's not as nostalgic to me as
Yeah,
my friend
it's okay.
was.
I'll
about
agree
it.
with you on that, Loborin. I think this one requires an exponential more amount of map knowledge to navigate.
Yeah, I think that's why they didn't want to use paintballs, because paintballs, it's just a pink circle on a little.
I mean, if you
lit
open up the map,
area on the
that's
map,
kind of the same problem when you're tracking a monster.
True. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it does give you altitude, and then also once you're on the map and you pin the monster, they
Yeah, but if you're
usually
looking at
lead
it
you
without the
pretty well.
numbers, it is 2D on 2D, and you don't know where they are. The scout flies can be misleading, especially with height in mind. So what I found was most useful is I would sort of gauge what kind of monster it was. So, for instance, where I kept losing was Rathalos. So Rathalos, I think the only reason why I never took him down was literally because he would fly away, and I did not know how to get to where he went. And so what I ended up doing is flying to the nearest base camp every time of where I think he was going, and that pseudo worked out, but not always. So I lost a lot of time, just because of map knowledge. I'll agree with you a lot there.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I noticed was that one of the hard things about Rathalos is he was it? I think when he is in, you know, there's his starting area where he's in the nest, and then he can fly down to that kind of cave section where he's in, where he'll throw you down off a cliff, and it's really annoying.
Yeah.
Usually when he flies from there, if he's going to go up to his nest or he's going to go to the area that's near where he falls from the nest, he almost always flies all the way around like the bottom of the map and then flies back up to it. And that's really annoying when you look on the map. And you either have to just wait for him to stop somewhere and then follow the scout flies, otherwise they get really confused. Or you can level up your scout flies to the point that they'll tell you the next spot that they're going to stop.
Yeah, I
really
think that's true too.
It also encourages you to level them up.
Yeah, that's true. Do we know if the leveling up's gonna persist through hunts? I'm assuming no.
I don't think so. I remember saying before that it might, but I think it was me mishearing information. It's probably...
Like
I think the things
entries?
that are going to persist are hit zones and all of those kind of factual things that you're going to get in that little Y-Academy book info, Hunter's info kind of book. Before, when we fought a monster once, we get a bonus page of being like, hey, here's a cool thing, Sonic Bomb, whatever his name is, Lagombi, when he's got a snowball over his head.
Sometimes they were helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like,
I've always
he's
avoided
scary.
using sonic bombs on things that didn't burrow or dive, only because it just makes them mad. It's like, okay, I'm just going to throw them into rage mode. It'll stun them for whatever time period. I'd rather just fight it and without it being enraged.
I mean, I like to do
it does knock him down
because you could cut his tail more easily.
Prowler stance, as we call it. But yeah, it's just weird. It's not a good... I don't like using the sonic bomb. I don't like using a lot of items, but...
I mean, on Lagombi, it stuns him for a while, so it's kind of similar to, like, when you do that to a ding monster.
I think I might do it more now because
that is true,
item usage time is cut down a little bit. Like, a flash bomb is super fast now. There's no longer, like, wait for it, bang. Now it's just click, bang.
Yep.
And I don't know if any of you guys use the trap during the demo, but traps are so much faster now.
Pitfalls are still slow, but they seem a little bit more useful still. Like, I usually... shock traps don't last as long on monsters, and pitfalls usually last a lot longer just in general. So I can see why they would want to do that. And also the animations on both look really cool. I'm also happy to see that most of the animations look kind of like what we saw in intros to, like, the second 4U intro. That's really cool, that everyone should watch.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, he literally does that with the pitfall. He puts it in the ground, and then he, like, twists it, and then it pops up, and goes, poof, and that's exactly what happens in this one.
Well, that's
the
like
animation.
I said last time. We're finally getting the game that we see in the cutscenes.
And what's crazy is the game was amazing then.
Things.
So now, how is it going to be? Oh, it's so beautiful.
Sorry,
I love it.
I'm just now imagining the scene with the noob with the basic insect glaive running from a Tigrex. That's something that could legit happen now that forest.
I really hope Tigris comes back.
I'm just kind of scared if he does.
Oh man, I am so excited. I want to see
Wrath of Gog. Sorry, just to tangent. What you were saying about the traps, like the animation, setting them down. I felt like just Adam Jensen in like Deus Ex, like setting down the shock trap. Like with there's an ability in that game in the trailers where he's like shooting lightning around him as he's falling.
Oh yeah.
And about the 4U opening, what you guys were mentioning about the scout flies, like scraping stuff into a bottle and flipping it shut, reminded me of that as well.
Oh yeah.
I swear.
Oh yeah, because I remember he crumbled. There was that one guy who crumbled up the mushroom into the little flask thing and then shook it and then put it back on his pouch.
To be fair, we do know that after 4 and 4U, that was when they started developing the game. They might have been thinking about that immediately, and they were like, let's just give them something.
I definitely think so. It Reminds me a lot of the concept trailer for 4 and that 4 cinematic.
Yeah, the one where Thalos breaks the platform and you're falling towards the Tigrex.
Yeah, that one.
I don't think I saw that one now. Now I have to look it up.
Yeah, it's the original Monster
Which
Hunter
one?
4 demo. Or not demo. Demos and demonstration.
Oh yeah, it's like it's an open world. That was so weird.
Yeah, they were just showing off the new mechanics. I was very skeptical of that first video also. I'm like, really? Like, running and jumping? Is this now a platformer? Like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, there weren't any
Sure,
new
now.
monsters or anything. So, Fortuan...
So Haru, did you end up trying any other weapons that you actually might be considering switching to? Kind of like Fortuan's now thinking about divorcing the charge blade to remarry to his longsword.
well, not remarry, but,
yeah,
you know, take it out of mistress status.
Oh god.
But yeah, so is there
I'm
there
the one
any
that's supposed to make weird, gross jokes. What are you doing?
so any weapons you're considering swapping over to?
so like Fortuan, I was definitely playing around a bit. I can never really get into like lancing and things, but they changed the animations to be like just fluid enough that like with the charge and everything, I'm really like I just like the feel of that weapon now.
Did
The
you ever
three
get
pokes
off the supercharge? Like where after you're charging for a certain amount of time, you like get the secondary boost of speed.
Oh yeah, I definitely use that to like cross areas, and you could do the like 2-hit stab at the end of it.
Yes, I usually used it to do the mount thing.
Yeah.
Because the leaping lance strike was always like, it's something I always try to do regardless if it's going to be successful or not, just because, you know, there's that part of that brain. It's like, yeah, well, the Diablos is charging at you, charge back.
Sometime you will make it flinch and it will look cool.
Yeah, I'm guilty of going all in as a longsword main for that spirit round slash and getting batted out of the way.
I can land Spirit 4, right? No.
Yeah, Spirit Slash, you move around so much with it, you get so greedy with it. I used to do that so much with the Rajang. It's like, I need to get this buff. Like, I just need to get there. And once I get to white, then it's more useful. And it's like, you just swing, 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 and then as soon as you can get around, and he's kind of like 50 feet away from you, you're like, maybe he'll jump at me. Maybe he'll run at me. And then you Spirit Slash, and then you don't hit anything.
My biggest trap with longsword was always Kezu. It's like, are you at the 3rd and a half swing of your Spirit Slash about to hit R for the last time? Time to lightning myself.
Oh, no, it's usually as you're about to go into that 3rd one where he does the 3 swings, and that's when you're locked into the animation for 5 hours. And you're like, no, and then he hits it.
I think it's actually worse than the feeling you get when you get like paralyzed in midair and you watch your corpse flop onto the ground is missing that spirit round slash.
No. That's much worse because
Okay.
yesterday or the day before, I just out of the blue went back into Generations and went, I'm gonna go find a really hard quest and do it, even though I haven't played in months. And I was doing the Forest Defense, which is a hyper Celtis Queen, a hyper Gipsaros, and a hyper Najarala. Gipsaros went okay, besides the fact that he, goes insane when he's hyper, and raged, which is 90% of the fight. But then I got to Najarala, and I was using Aerial Charge Blade, which is the only way I'll ever use Charge Blade. It's so fun. And I was trying to jump over his body to get out of the circle that Najarala makes. And I got, glitched onto, an invisible wall, the boundary of the area, and I kind of fell back in, and he paralyzed me. And I swear he took as long as possible to actually go underground to hit me, because he was circling and circling. And then I stood up, and then a Vespoid paralyzed me, and I fell back over. And he circled and circled. And when Najarala does the hyper, where he blasts through the ground after he circles you, it's the fastest thing in the world. And he was just sitting there circling, and then just, and I was dead.
Okay.
Like, all my health was gone, and I carded. It was horrible. I ended up timing out on the Seljas Queen when he was limping away. 50 minutes. And then I went back in, and I think I beat it after 35.
So
then I went back with aerial switch axe, and then I beat everyone in 25 minutes. So broken.
Yeah. Did you have any moments where you were very close on the beta, where you like you think, oh yeah, I'm gonna be able to beat this, and then it gets down to like 5 minutes left, and you're sweating because the thing hasn't gone down yet?
Oh, that's so much scarier when you play the full game and you're in 50 minutes and you're sweating. Because it's like, I've been playing this for an hour. Give this to me, please.
I definitely had some of those moments in Try with like 40, 45 minutes. And like that crushing failure of just like, you gotta turn it off. You can't keep going after that loss. Mm-hmm. But with the beta, yeah, no, I could never bring Rathalos or Diablos down on my own.
Yeah,
I had to do it
I tried so much. Just couldn't.
I only got one multiplayer match, and the guy ignored fighting the new monster. He didn't want to fight Puke, and he just kind of went off to do Anjanath by himself. It was kind of sad.
Yeah, it's definitely hard communicating which monster we really wanted to go after.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, you know what, Lobo? Yes. You were supposed to play with me on that first night.
I know.
And I never heard back from you.
I don't know. I don't have an excuse. Tell you what, when the full game comes out, though, we will totally play.
Cool.
Give me some time to scrounge up some money for PS Plus.
Then we can see GOG's fabled Gunlance.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna find the one with the highest shelling power and just destroy everything.
Oh,
just
by
normal
the way,
16.
It has been confirmed, by the way, the spread shot still flinches everybody in existence with the bowgun. So, and you can flinch somebody out of the longsword jumping spirit combo thing as they're on the way back down.
Oh no, that's
not
good.
There's I don't know if I posted it, but there's a GIF of someone doing that to somebody else on the sub right now, where they're like inches from hitting the monster and they get knocked away by the gun lancer.
I'll have to investigate this. This seems serious.
Huh, I'm surprised.
Sorry, by the bowgunner. My bad.
Oh, okay. Was he doing a wyvern fire?
No, I said bowgunner.
No, bowguns have wyvern fire though.
No, he was doing the pellet shot. Well, what's formerly called
shot.
Pellet shot. Yeah, you just see him.
I'm happy that they're calling them spread shot though, because I think it's easier to just keep bow and
nobody knows what pellet is.
Yeah.
Because it used to be spread and pellet, but now it's spread and spread. I think. I don't know if this bow even had spread. Oh yeah,
so here I'll paste it again, but this is for both Fortuan and our friend Haru now, since they're both longsword people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lobo just posted a video
painful.
of. Sorry.
Oh, it's just painful.
Oh. Yeah, Lobo just made a video, or just posted a video. He didn't make the video. By Moist Nugget, which is a beautiful name. And it was a Monster Hunter World video, and it is it's very beautiful. It's just watching a dude, jump off of a monster and then get just destroyed. And it's so disappointing. Like, I think I would actually quit playing the game if that happened.
Yeah.
Because that hit feels so good. Like, the way that they stop and then it goes...
Yeah.
By the way,
I love it.
I'm going to ask you and Fortuan and Haru this again. I asked Fortuan last time, and then you said no, but I haven't gotten a chance to ask Haru yet. Did you have a hard time landing that Skull Splitter strike thing?
Helm Splitter.
Because I landed it once, the entire beta. Because every single time I went up for it, the monster would move, or I would be jumping past the monster, and it doesn't just let you, turn midair. I just couldn't land the stupid thing.
You know what I think?
Maybe I'm just bad.
It might be like the aerial in Generations, where if you're pushing forward when you use it, you move forward.
It's definitely that. It was really hard to like fall into it, and I imagine it'd be harder if you're not like a longsword main necessarily. Um, but you can like spin like 360 degrees midair. You just have to like once you turn one direction, you're committed.
Yeah.
If the monster moves, you're out of luck. But I liked it after a bit of time with it because the way it works is it's not as powerful if you don't use it on your red spirit level. So it's basically like another end game for the weapon. If you can do this one really powerful hit, it gives you a bunch of spirit gauge. Um, Once you're at red sharpness, and then you like build back up to red again, and it creates sort of a rotation for you.
I didn't know it's scaled based on your spirit level.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does more damage with each hit, and if you just hit it on like white sharpness, it does not regenerate much spirit gauge at all.
Okay. I think it'd probably be a good thing too if you're getting very low on your red. Like anytime you're getting to the end of a gauge, and you don't think you're going to be able to pull off the full spirit rotation, might as well just go for a helm splitter. That way you have maxed out spirit to just re-level it up.
Yeah, So another move that I really liked about Longsword, it's the counter move. And if you go back and you watch one of Fortuan's streams, I don't remember which one it was, but the end of it, he fought an
Yeah, I'm
Anjanath.
looking for that clip you're talking about.
Yeah, so Anjanath dives at him, and he uses the counter at the right time. That he has like the blue fade, where it's like the after effect of him being there, and then he runs forward and slashes, and it kills the Anjanath, and it looks so cool.
Super anime.
Yeah, and that move is really interesting because if you just use it where you just kind of turn around and then run back in and slash at the monster, and you don't use it. Like, you don't actually get the successful counter, you just kind of run back and attack. It just wastes all your spirit that you built up.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like the general red bar that you build up when you attack.
Yeah, it doesn't blow
levels.
a level, but it does blow all of the whatever is is it called chi? Do they call it the chi?
It's the spirit. It's the spirit gauge. It's not the bar's level.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Gauge, not level, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bar that fills up with red as you attack, and that's what you're wasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't look at the particle effect for the Foresight Slash without like thinking like this is Final Fantasy 15. I'm doing an evade.
I haven't played that game. So.
But when you do that successfully, it fills up all of that red gauge, so it's actually really useful if you can do it correct.
I still kept forgetting to do that move because, out of instinct, I kept, trying to dodge moves and stuff like that, like just slash and then back into spirit mode, or do the normal fade slash, or just evading, because I keep thinking I'm a longsword. I don't.
Oh
have
no, dude! There's points where I'm spamming it just because I love it so much.
Really? Okay.
It
does look really cool.
I mean, it's not just a cool factor. It's like it's a safety net for like you have put yourself out there, right? So you've kind of overextended trying to get your spirit combo off, and then you're in a position. It's like, oh no, he's going to attack, and they're like, okay, let's counter because I can't dodge out of this. So it's a really good defensive move, and I ended up using it a lot just to sort of gauge like when can I do it and that kind of stuff. I actually, it's what's been selling me on the weapon is that and the helm splitter. So you mentioned before that you only pulled it off once. I think I only missed it once the whole time. Like it's
wow.
I don't know what it is. It's just me. Like it's just clicking with me or whatever. But like I typically just play like you would play in the previous games. I get all the way up to the red. As soon as I hit red, though, I do the helm splitter. And then I build it back up into red.
Yeah, it's also much easier once you do that, because if you hit the helm splitter successfully, you actually gain the red gauge back slowly with it, so you can actually If you have a little bit of the red gauge already there, you almost always can do the spirit combo and still have enough gauge to continue through the spirit combo as it's regenerating.
Okay.
It feels really forgiving if you hit the Helm Breaker when it's red, just of having enough energy to get the round slash off.
Okay. By the way, it is kind of cool seeing you fall in love with longsword, because that was actually my first, main when I first started playing back in 4U. I played the ever-loving crap out of longsword because it was so fun, but apparently that's back when it was not great because, it degraded from whatever level you were at to nothing. Mm-hmm. But that's when I played it the most. And then my new beta weapon that I'm starting to think I might put more time into is the dual blades. Because I think it's because the stamina drain is less on demon mode, but everything about dual blades is fun now. I think it's because they took everything that was good from the different styles and was like, let's just make this one weapon. So you don't have to rely on, doing the specific rotation. And the circle spinny dash in thing is now just a standard part of the weapon, which is great.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's just integrated into the weapons now that make them all that much better.
Yeah, every single time I talk about the weapons, I have to keep saying mobility, 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 because that is the greatest thing that they've been adding to everything.
I do have a friend who is a greatsword person. Like, he's just been greatsword since day one, and will not touch another weapon. And now that he has the shoulder check, he's like the happiest dude in the world. He's like, yes, this is great. The whole body slam shoulder check thing from the greatsword.
Yeah.
I didn't use it, but apparently it's fun.
Yeah, it's really powerful. The window of iframes is like huge.
It has iframes?
Yeah, well, you take damage a little bit, but it's like Rocksteady. You can super armor it, I guess is the term.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
So what it feels like to me is that they lowered the barrier to entry, but I think they increased the skill cap for each of the weapons. Does that, or at least as a longsword main, it feels like that. Does that carry true to your guys' mains?
Yeah, I feel like you can get a lot more out of everything I tried. Like Switch Axe, now that we have the secret special second meter, that in the sword mode, once you attack a certain number of sword mode times, it gets more powerful and you can do the stick on latch thing. That's just another level of depth. The fact that you can transition from any attack to the other weapon is another, just like unleashing the sword or unleashing the weapon to do more. And even my other mains, the bowguns, the fact that ammo stays loaded now. So you don't have to worry about like, all right, I'm just going to be shooting Pierce 2 for the next 20 minutes. You can actually, you have a reason to bring multiple types of weapons and multiple things where you can just, change around. And I didn't know about the first beta, but I tried it out the second one. The whole, if you just press and hold the reload button, I wouldn't advise doing this in combat, but if you press and hold the reload button, you'll reload your ammo, and then your character will systematically go down the entire list and reload everything that's not at full.
That's awesome.
So you can just, like, I was doing it when the monster started running away. I would just like, all right, switch to an empty ammo and just kind of slowly follow after it, reloading everything. So it's nice being able to change up tactics instead of being stuck with the same boring stuff.
It definitely seemed, and I'm not a bowgunner at all, but it definitely seemed like easier to just on the fly change ammo and just like just pelt the monster with a bunch of stuff.
I love whenever they fell over, by the way. I'm still gushing about this. Every time they fell over, every sticky shot to the face, cluster shots, just if they were knocked down, it was a bad time for them.
Cluster shot is brutal. If the flinching on that is extreme.
You don't have to be as accurate, I noticed. I was off on a couple of cluster shots, and it was still messing the monster up. Which kind of makes me concerned for its use in multiplayer, but we'll see.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of explosions, like the barrels and stuff, They reach a little bit farther than you might think, but that's how they were anyway, so I'm not too worried about it.
Oh, Haru, by the way, since you play longsword, did you try out the different bow guns in the bow, and did you think any different of them than previously?
Oh yeah,
Like,
I'd say bowguns and like ranged weapons were my least tried thing. Like I like how they feel a lot more now, but um, yeah, I think I'm still just like a melee person at heart.
okay. I just think it's interesting that a lot of people just don't cross the barrier, and then apparently it's very rare that people do play both.
I used to play both.
Really?
Yeah, I've talked about it a couple times. I started out as a heavy bowgunner main in the first Monster Hunter.
Wow.
So, it was, I put a good, I want to say, 1,200 hours
Holy cow.
into heavy bowgun, almost exclusively in Monster Hunter 1. And then I topped it up with about another 1,500 and greatsword when I lost my save. So
I think you've put more into your Monster Hunter 1 save file than I have the entirety of Monster Hunter.
well, I mean, so like that was my high school days. I was 16. I had nothing better to do.
I wish I could say that.
I was a loser who didn't have a girlfriend. I just had Monster Hunter.
I did have a girlfriend, so maybe that's why. Darn.
But then I
Oh.
got a girlfriend, and she's my wife now.
Hey,
Okay, there we go.
So actually, Fortuan, I did have a question because he was we were talking about how the skill caps on your main weapons went up.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not a huge fan of some of the charge blade changes because they got rid of the visual indicator for guard pointing and stuff like that,
Yep.
and you didn't play the meta play version.
Yeah.
How do you like the new sword thing though? The sword
Oh, I love it. It's so
charge
cool.
and attack.
It's hard to pull off safely and still do damage with it, but it's cool. It's kind of that's why I'm so just I haven't actually said like I am going to be a longsword maid at this point. I'm still heavily considering it because the sword thing for the charge blade is so cool. I still feel like I'm breaking parts better, which is like the thing I like to do, and that's what the charge blade does very well. Is it cuts tails and breaks parts very well when using the AED and that kind of stuff. So I'm still very torn. I think at this point, if I were just like pinned down and say, "What are you going to do?" I think I'm going to say longsword, but I do love the changes of the charge blade, and I think the skill cap for that has gone up. And I think between Switch Axe and Charge Blade, who I would have said were the highest skill caps for weapons you could have done, maybe except for bow. Bow has always been pseudo complicated. People say it's simple, but the execution of it's a little complicated because you have to be so precise on where you are and positioning. I think that the skill cap for even them went up for sure. It's just crazy. Even the hammer skill cap.
So I think that's
for sure.
I think that could be
because it got so much more options.
Two different ways. I think you could say the skill cap.
Situations.
So, I guess I was saying I'm thinking skill.
No, yeah, we're saying the
I
higher
was thinking,
potential
everything.
skill.
Yeah, a lot of things now are like optimal, or not optimal, but
The barrier to entry is a lot lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the word I'm thinking of?
One thing I wanted to point out, you mentioned this earlier.
Accessible?
You were saying about the charge. Yeah, because you were talking about Charge Blade being one of the more skill-intensive ones. And I had the opposite, whereas like Charge Blade's pretty easy to get into, because with Charge Blades, honestly, you can push any button and you will do things. But knowing what order to push them in is more important. Versus everybody used to say, oh, Sword and Shield is the easy beginner weapon to start with. I don't think it's an easy weapon now. Like, you have to be on your game all the time as a sword and shield.
Yeah, I think Sword and Shield has always got that reputation for being, it's the easy weapon. I'm like, yeah, you try making that your solo-only weapon.
What?
Yeah, that's never...
Yeah, no.
Who thought it was easy?
That's never been a weapon that's been really optimal for endgame stuff. Well, I'll take that back. It has been. What I'm saying is it's harder, in my opinion, to be a Sword and Shield main than a lot of other weapons because you do so little damage, so you have to be on top so much. It's not like the dual blades where you're doing little damage a lot of the time. You're doing a lot of little damage. It's still rapidly, but far less rapidly than you need, I guess. So you have to really be good with Sword and Shield.
You also have to follow very specific rotations. There's the fact that unlike a lot of weapons, with the main sword and shield like attack rotation, you don't want to hold forward towards the monster. Like most weapons, you hold forward towards the monster. If you do that, you're gonna do the lame shield smack thing, which is until now I haven't really looked at the numbers for worlds yet, but prior to now it was
you want to hold back more so on greatsword now too.
Oh yeah, for the supercharge.
So yeah, they're changing a lot of executions of different weapons. The only one that I'm looking at, I like I said, I did finally kill everything. We'll kill Anjanath with everything. The only one that I really struggled with was Insect Glaive, but that's because I was trying to do air dodges. I was trying to be Aang from Avatar. I was just bouncing around. Yeah,
just airbending,
bending all the airs, and but so I almost timed out with that one, and then the other one that I had a lot of trouble with was Hunting Horn, and I've never really liked Hunting Horn that much, but I will say that it is entirely okay to be a Hunting Horn solo. Don't anyone ever let you tell you can't. It's just not my weapon. And I kind of feel like they simplified Hunting Horn more so than gave it more of a cap.
Which is good,
I think
though.
Hunting Horn, like Hammer, excels in simplicity.
I think it got simplified by the UI, because half the challenge of Hunting Horn was remembering which button is which color and what order do they go in. And now it's on the screen, so you're like, oh, okay, I can do this now.
And now as soon as you've gotten that combo, you don't need to recite it. You can continue through and store it.
Yeah, that's the major one is, like,
what's
I can't attack now because I have to wait for an opening to be able to hit R. Now it's like, no, just keep doing your thing.
Yeah, and also because of that, recitals do a ton of damage. I think every single recital attack due to the kind of little sonic explosion thing that happens, they each do like 40 damage on each hit, which is insane.
They've always had pretty good motion values too, though.
Yeah. The word that I was thinking of before, way back, was viable. And it was because I've noticed that a lot of combos that were underpowered are now doing enough damage that they can be used remotely. In some way, they can actually, be useful. I mean, we're seeing those stupid melee attacks that are really dumb that the ranged weapons have, and they're actually useful. You can mount with one, you can impact damage with the other one. I mean, I could totally see 4 heavy bowgunners running up to a monster's head when it falls over, if they're out of, like, a crag or whichever one it's called now, and KOing it with the back of their gun and then continuing to attack it. It also does a fair amount of damage, like it's actually useful. And the combos for Sword and Shield, there's multiple different combos that do similar damage. There's now multiple combos for Hammer that do similar damage. Obviously there's some above others when you have the time, but still. Great Sword, Combo Sword is actually manageable. I still don't think it does nearly as much as if you went through all the charge animations. But if you didn't have an opening, you definitely could use it.
Yeah, you can. If a monster's moving, you can be combo greatsword probably a lot easier than just charging, because you're gonna whiff a lot of your charges.
Exactly.
I will say, one disclaimer to all of that. We are in the beta where we know things are reduced, and we know that certain strategies, like kicking monsters to death, are not going to be as viable.
Yeah.
To be fair, you could still kick Arzuros to death in the main games.
Yeah, well, Arzuros. I mean, he was like a paper football.
Yeah, but Great Jaggers is a paper football too, and that's what we did to him. Great Jaggy is what we did. That's what we did. He just had no health.
Yeah, I know, but yeah.
I
So
still
just
would
saying,
not encourage melee bowgun ever.
I'm just saying.
If you had
like,
4 of them, you could probably KO something pretty fast. If you had every person could get 4 hits in. If it fell over, I think you could.
And synchronize, throw all their cluster shots in.
Yeah.
it's just hard to gauge at this point, just because it's the beta. I mean, it's the biggest drawback of like reporting on this stage of the game is like, I mean, we're obviously not seeing the end result, but
1 month.
yeah, 1 month from today, as of we're recording.
Yeah.
I am.
Oh right, shoot! I just dated the podcast.
I dated
it doesn't
at
matter.
the beginning. I said this is the last day of the second beta, right at the start.
What I was more saying, like with the melee weapons, like the fact that the bow one is a mounting damage attack, like that's actually useful.
No, that is.
And it's giving bow a reason to, get in there, because bow, it seems like a lot of its attacks, like the Dragon Piercer. The range on that thing is ridiculous. It can say out of range and you'll still do 70 damage, which is dumb. It's awesome, but it's dumb.
I will agree that bow is more accessible and probably, I hate to say, more fun, because that, people have heavy opinions on bows, but previously to play bows, mostly just, rapid shot the face. What else do I do? Rapid shot the face.
Yeah, when you say rapid shot the face, it means stand or run in a circle while you charge up to level 3 and then shoot it in the face.
But now bows are like, we have buttons? We have more things to do? Bowguns were still, stuck with shoot and reload. But at least, we have fun shots and stuff like that. Bows didn't always have super fun shots.
Yeah, and you couldn't really combo. That wasn't really a thing. Besides the fact that you had the special,
power shot.
Yeah, the power shot where it would jump in after it. Like you'd fire once, then twice. What were you saying, Haru?
Oh, just about like the idea of viability. I feel like because it's Monster Hunter, and since it's like sort of, I think you disagree with me about this one, but I think it's at its core like a single player game, like you're fighting against the AI, even though you can go online and all that jazz. I don't think like DPS is super necessary to think about, because you can like when I got into the series with Try, and that was like one of the hardest games, at least in modern games. You could just like button mash with switch X as long as you were dodging attacks. Yeah. So I'm more comfortable than ever saying that like I think the other weapons are you're gonna be able to press whatever buttons you choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll work.
I always like the idea of anything is viable, because really it's whatever you like best and what you have fun with the most. Like, yeah, sure, technically in For You, doing anything, Hame is the most viable thing. Does everybody want to play Hame?
I always thought it was Ham.
No, absolutely not.
But okay.
I thought it was Ham.
But yeah, absolutely nobody. Well, maybe not absolutely nobody, but the vast majority of people are going to say, yeah, no, that was probably the most boring way to play For You ever.
Yeah.
So, just because it's efficient doesn't make it fun or good.
I was going to say, I'm probably the poster child for playing inefficiently, considering that I'm more of a fan of the least optimal way to play Charge Blade, which is the generation way.
By the way,
unfortunately, I think that is the most balanced Charge Blade will ever be, and I still stand by it.
Shots.
By the way, I did want to point out, Fortuan, and just because you said, the least optimal for Charge Blade, I liked playing Elemental Charge Blade, and I'm interested to see how it's going to work in Worlds.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't get one, so.
Yeah, I hope it's viable. It usually is. They usually are like, hey, more damage than impact, so it's useful. But the problem is when it's more damage, it doesn't replace the fact that if you get the monster on the ground and you keep smashing its head, which is a weak spot, then it's not as useful as using the elemental on a place that is good elemental damage, not physical damage.
I generally sucked at sniping heads, so I liked elemental more anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, on what's his name?
Tigers.
Not Bizarrios. Gravios. His back was severely weak to water, and you could use oh my goodness, there's so many monsters to remember now that I haven't fought in years.
See,
Duren Moran's Charge Blade had a ton of water and high physical damage, so against a not weak spot, it was really good if you could just keep smashing his back over and over again with a full Ultra. And now it would be even easier because all you have to do is Ultra Burst over and over and you still have a red shield.
Yep.
That seems a little broken to me, but...
Fun thing for you, Gog. Gravios, just grab a light bowgun that can rapid fire water piercing shots.
Oh, don't even start, dude. You know what I did?
It just dies.
You know what I did when I went to Double Cross? That was like the first thing I did. I got all the way up there. I got the Plesioth bowgun, and I ran into the Volcanic Hollows, which is the worst map in the history of anything, and I absolutely destroyed him.
The arena. I hate the arena.
I hate the arena because it was slightly slanted, and that annoyed me as a bowgunner because I like doing blind fire shots.
Yep. Yeah, the terrain thing was horrible, especially for prowlers. But Double Cross, they did give you the ability to aim, which was insane. Somehow they couldn't decide that they wanted to do that. But
I do have a question for the whole field, Haru and Fortuan and Gog and everybody. Are you disappointed that you can no longer play as a cat in Monster Hunter World?
Not at all.
Nope.
Those
because
animations were not fun.
Everything you could do as a cat is basically here. The fact that you can mine quickly, the fact that you basically don't have stamina when you're running around doing nothing, and the fact that you have a weapon that you stand in charge and throw over and over. That's something I could already do. I did like using the cats. I thought it was a fun other weapon, but now I basically have that by playing bow and charging up shots. And I could already do that. It was just a different way of playing.
What about you, Haru or Fortuan?
It's just like the hit feedback is like the reason I play Monster Hunter. I mean, there's the monster designs and the setting and all that jazz, but like if it's not like feeling good to like land each individual strike, it's like much less engaging. I just could not get behind the cats.
Okay. I mean, I will say one thing, in Double Cross, the guard cats are actually really fun because you can play a little bit more physically. Because if you have the guard boosting skill, since you don't have stamina, you can basically just like just brunt force everything and then smack him around, like with your little really weird combo where you have basically no control over anything.
Okay.
And then you can just go into that guard after every single attack really easily, and you just kind of stand there while the thing's standing over you and whack him a lot. The beast mode cats were really fun.
I'm slightly remiss. I love the cats. I've always loved the cats in Monster Hunter since the first game, even though they weren't your friends. I'm a cat person. But I didn't play much as the cats. So what I did in Generations and Double Cross is, I've mentioned a couple times before, but I full clear a star before moving on. I don't do the whole, let's do the key quest and move on. I do full clears. And what I would do is I would full clear up into the cat quest and then do all the cat quests at once. And I think they were fun. And I think it'd be cool just because it is that pseudo 15th weapon. Because it's an entirely different way to play. And it does make you feel like you do have attachment to one of your hired cats. But we have, like, you build your own cat now. Again, actually, you did that for you also. So that was I don't know. I slightly miss it. The only thing is, I am glad is we possibly don't have quests where the cat was like, break this thing's horn. That's the quest objective, and it's like, I'm afraid of killing it. Like, I don't ever want to see that kind of quest again, where you're just breaking a specific part. I feel like that's a whole new level of, holy crap, what do I do if I mess this up kind of thing, along with capture quests. It's like taking a capture quest's pitfall and making it bigger.
I will agree with that. I did not like those. I will kind of miss the cats because it was a fun theme of like, oh yeah, the cat, it can go out and do its own thing now. Even though I mostly used it for gathering, on occasion I would just bring it along with. I am still disappointed there's not another new weapon though, especially since we got to see two of the weapons they were thinking about doing but then didn't.
It was like dog and boomerang. That would have been nice.
I still want my dog.
We'll see.
I think the dog is... I think they might have scrapped it purely because they weren't sure how they could implement it well into this game, and also you already kind of have a little teammate that you work with. Like, it would be annoying for the AI if you had to have him somehow
you say
be attacking while you go and you hang off a wedge beetle up in the forest jungle, like
hold him under your arm. He's an egg.
You just kind of tell your dog to attack.
Well, you still say work with, but every single time I played, even like last demo and this new demo, every single time I played bowgun, my cat was there standing next to me, making sure the monster was always trying to hit me instead of distracting the monster.
How do you expect your little dog to do anything if the AI is that bad?
Well, because I would think they would give it better AI, and like your commands would actually do something like triangle would be dash, 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 and then circle would be bite, bite, or something like that. You know what I mean?
I feel like if they were willing to do that, though, I think they should just make the cat AI better. Like, they should just be better. Like, you could actually...
I think you guys just picked the wrong weapons. I used the bow for the cat, the poison bow.
Yeah.
That thing was constantly poisoning the monsters. It was constantly attacking them.
Really? Huh.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the weapons are... Because I know they haven't really gone thick into how the cats work. Maybe the weapons are actually going to determine their personality.
Yeah, my cat was aggressive. If I started attacking something, it was there with me.
I think mine was always... I always picked the flash trap cat.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why. I don't know.
There's a flash. I didn't even read them. I just like, oh, here's a hammer, here's a sword, here's a bow.
There's the little extra items, and one of the items is a little cage thing that has a flashfly in it. And he runs out with it on his head, then he sets it down, and you can activate it by whacking at it.
Oh, just like another flash bug. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
There's also a little tank.
I thought that's what you were talking about with bow. I didn't know it was even a bow.
Did it have that ability with the bow? I don't know. All I know is it was a poison weapon. I was like, oh, it has poison.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I didn't even look at the items because I don't think I used anything but the mantles as far as items go. Like, I didn't use the health booster except by accident a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Fortuan, if you're not using items, did you make use of the environment at all?
Oh yeah, a lot. I think that was actually really useful. I used the flash bugs in the environment. I think part of the reason with me not using items isn't me being like, oh, I'm so awesome, I don't need items. I don't want to bother with it.
Right.
It's something else I have to do. I'd rather just fight. So just attacking a bug versus, going through my inventory, managing, more and more stuff. I just didn't.
Sheathing and putting it away so you can pull out another thing.
Yeah, I've never been really that into it. I did use traps with friends. That's because we were all like being silly and trying to aim, just as a joke. But I don't know. Like the environment stuff was really cool. I use the slinger a lot. I used it a lot more than I thought I would, just because it's easy to use. So, who knows?
Yeah, that's I think why it might be easier for you to use items in this one, just because you can definitely just go through and like, oh, I want to use the flash bug. You just almost immediately load it in, and you can fire them over and over as soon as you get off your weapon, which you can sheath your weapon a little bit faster. Everything's just a little bit smoother. Again, it's just everything's more mobile. And it just feels much more natural and dynamic that you can do so much. Especially with all of the different weird items that you can just find and use. And I'm thinking, like, people do the naked, like, playthroughs of the games where they don't use any armor.
Yeah.
And that's a little too much for me. I'm not sure I want to do that. I might be able to do it with Gunlance if I can use the mantles. Like, then I could use the, which mantle is it? The rock steady mantle. Because then you could kind of defend yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But, other than that, like, it would seem a little bit too hard. So I think what I would want to do is just using items from the area, like actually running around and finding items. If I need to heal, get a Vigor Wasp. If I need to paralyze the monster, maybe there's a frog on the ground. Maybe I can find some items to fire at the thing to blind it and stuff like that. I think it'd be really fun.
I will say,
I think that'd be a neat challenge quest. Would be, like Deserted Island challenge quest. You just get dropped off with a weapon and a basic set of clothes, and they're like, "Good luck, bye."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I think on-site items is going to be as on-site as possible. I mean, because they've had quests like that where they just give you items out of the box, and the items that you find, technically, you just never use that. Now you could definitely do that, and it would work really well.
I was gonna say one thing that we haven't really discussed here on the pod, and I've not really seen discussed in a lot of places, aside from when we first learned about the skill system being different. How do you guys feel about the new armor skills being just, the single skill per thing? Yeah, you just get like a tick of like attack for wearing a helmet, a tick for defense, a tick for this other thing. Like, how do you guys feel about that?
I think
I was wearing
cool.
I was wearing the really broken forest helmet, Jagras gloves, Jagras boots for the instant healing almost, and I was having a blast with that. It was just worry free. I didn't even care about doing less damage or anything.
Mm-hmm. I was going for the sets which was like attack up, evasion, crit, but that gave me no survivability.
Yeah, same here. I did attack, speed eating, and crit. So
I think it'll be awesome for mixed sets. That's something I'm excited for, was because making mixed sets is always a pain, because you're just like, ugh, like what now? Like, okay, maybe this will fit. No, all right, let's go to a wiki, search for every piece of armor that has this skill in it. Will it work? No. Or yes, this will work, but now I have to go farm this monster I hate. Like, here's a fun example. Every single set I wanted to make for heavy bowguns and bowguns involved this gross-looking fish pants item. And it was just this bad fish skirt that didn't color good, didn't look good with anything else.
Oh, I know exactly what item you're talking about. Someone that gave you really good razor sharp for Blade Masters too.
Yeah, but it was such a good thing, but it looked like garbage.
It was the Vike Fods.
Yes, I hate those Vike Fods.
I love them.
But, well, I mean, I love the stats, but they look terrible.
So I didn't care, so it didn't matter to me.
It's the fact that you'll be able to do mixed sets a little bit more often, so because it's not going to be like, well, I have to get the 10. No, you don't have to anymore. With the limited selection of skills we had in the demo, I didn't get a really good feel for it. I'm hoping they have a lot more skills in the real game.
I definitely got that feeling in the beta, because just making that speed eating, I think it was set.
Yeah.
You.
Did it really change the game that much for you?
Oh yeah, totally. Like healing was so much. You didn't have to wait and walk around or just stand still.
Really?
You could just snap your fingers and you were healed up half your health bar. But what I mean is that's on the Jagras armor most of the time. I think the Jagras armor is ugly, worse than Luderoth and all of that stuff. But it only had to wear hands and feet to get that effect. So the new skill system was helpful a little bit.
I did notice. I like the fact that some skills were one only. Like Mounting Master didn't have levels. Yep. You just took it and it did its thing. And that's something I'm excited for. Is maybe we'll just get some skills that are just kind of one shots. So hey, maybe you just throw this on because you like this effect, and now just do whatever else you want. I think it's gonna be. It'll help. I think it'll help avoid the whole you get to end game and everybody's wearing the exact same set of armor.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be a meta.
I hope there's more variation.
Well, yeah. There's always gonna be some people who are like, well, this is the set, but more things will be viable versus
Hellblade.
Oh well, yeah.
Well, Hellblade weapon, but
I think
I hope.
Did they say if there's going to be slots or if there's going to be skills on weapons, or is it just armor?
I didn't even check if there were slots or not. I mean, it is a beta. Maybe they wouldn't even put those in there, but
that doesn't mean anything one way or the
other. Okay.
Yeah, there weren't gems or anything. I think Eric's might have said there weren't any slots on weapons in up to Zora Magdaros, the beginning of the game he played, but who can say?
In that case, I'm okay with them not putting... Here's the thing, is I'm okay with them not having slots and weapons, because a lot of times that would be restricted by, I like this weapon more, but it doesn't have any slots, and I need 3 slots to make this armor work. So I have to go with this weapon that I think looks lame, versus going with this cool-looking halberd thing. As a note, long swords that don't look like swords are the best types of long swords.
Scythes.
Like scythes and things.
My favorite was Young Garugas, because it was that, cool looking Guando type of thing with feathers all over it. If I can find a picture for you guys, I'll paste it.
I remember the weird feathery Final Fantasy scythe, the one the Final Fantasy creator designed.
Oh yeah. It was called the Dayato Bane.
Do you remember the name?
Also, Garuga's armor looked cool, just also a side note, but yeah.
Yeah, I used a lot of Garuga for high-grade earplugs, as it used to be.
It reminded me of Lu Bu, or one of the characters from a Dynasty Warriors game.
So, well, I liked Garuga armor if it wasn't the low rank, high rank. If it was G rank, it was cool.
Oh yeah. Actually, the chest piece, the piece with the cape, is actually a key part of most of my sets from Generations.
Just wanted to mention real quick about the environments again. I found a weird rule that everything could be destroyed by 2 small barrel bombs, which is, of course, now they're just called barrel bombs.
Yeah.
And certain elements, like the tree hollows, would even sometimes go down at 1 hit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I could see
the dam, you could just place 2 little things.
Oh, I do have a question, and this is one of I don't know, because you guys have been paying attention more to the dev talks than I have. And the fact that we had what's it called? We had a desert isle location. Are they getting rid of hot and cold drinks and hot and cold effects?
I mean, this is my one guess for it. So, I think if they are willing to give us the desert area in the beta, they would have wanted to show off that there were hot and cold drinks if they were coming back. So, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm happy about that. Just
Same.
Was wondering if anybody had heard anything.
I think there's no definitive thing out, but I think it's confusing because with the Wildspire Way specifically, not just a desert area like it's a temperate region that has like a bunch of
Yeah,
water in
that's
it.
true.
Mhm.
So
Oh, yeah.
that could mean that it's just like this one specific map. There aren't hot and cold effects there. Or it could mean that they made this map this way because they didn't want to make people think, why am I not having to drink any thing to protect my character?
I mean, maybe there'll be a mantle.
Oh yeah, there
That
might
will
be
negate
still there still might be a volcano in an Arctic environment that we
Well, I
haven't seen
mean,
yet.
we know based on some of the recent trailers that there's definitely lava. So
Yep. I think that's a new area, unless, we saw Lavasioth swimming around inside Zoro
yeah, I'm
Mangros's
pretty sure
back.
we can safely say that's a new area.
Wait,
Yeah,
did they
like the
show
volcano.
Yeah, in the new story trailer that came out just before
The
this
end of
beta,
the
I think.
first beta.
Yeah, PSX.
It was PSX.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was a story commercial thing, and it included Lavasioth and Uragan, which
Oh,
doesn't surprise me at all.
never mind. I got excited. I forgot which one
Lavasiath
Lavasioth
or
was.
Lavasiath or whatever you want to do.
I was thinking the other cooler lava monster.
Ignactor?
Ignactor?
Man, don't make me
Yes.
sad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love
I don't-
lava crocodile.
I wanted Lavasioth to come.
Ignactor?
Ignactor to come back, but since we hadn't seen any other Leviathans, it doesn't surprise me that he wasn't coming back. It would have been cool if they replaced Ignactor, or like they gave Ignactor, like, if he was going to be in the game, and they made him a mud counterpart instead of Lavasioth's Mudseoth.
Mudseoth.
Because they could have reskinned him. They could have taken off the spine, and they could have made him like a crocodile, or like an alligator kind of thing. Because that's basically what he is, like
Yeah.
body shape wise.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
they could have
kind of how
given
the
him,
guy
like mud,
uses.
like the ice variant.
Yeah, the glacial
Mhm.
Like mud armor that breaks.
glacial Ignactor. I don't know. We could still see it because Uragan and Ignactor existed in the same environment.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we don't.
definitely.
I think there's a lot more monsters than what we've seen so far, specifically because we haven't seen all the maps, and I don't think there's going to be just one apex.
Yeah.
That's partially why I'm hoping that the leak is fake, because I'm like, we have a PS4. You can jam a lot of monsters on a PS4 cartridge.
But remember, they also had to make
CD.
them,
That's true.
No,
Yeah.
and that
Remake them.
that was
for 5th gen.
redesigning the AI and everything.
I still think they could do it because they've, a game this large, they've been doing this they've been preparing for this for a while.
So I'm curious now. How many monsters do you think we would get if this was what you want it to be?
I mean, if it was the, I mean, I say this and I'm kind of not joking. I still want every monster, so
Yeah,
that would be ridiculous
100 and something.
and not feasible.
I want my Zenogre. I want my Zenogre in 100, 180p.
And I don't think the number is really that important, but I do want variety. I do.
Yeah.
I want to see.
That's how I
I
feel
want to
about it.
see at least a possibility of, let's just pick a map and say the ancient forest, and say I want to see at least 3 different apex predators. You know, and like
Okay.
mid level, I want to see at least 6, and I want to see maybe 7 of the lower. Like I want to see a huge variety.
Yeah.
Like I don't want you to go into a quest and say I am hunting Baroth. I know Diablos is here. I know
Yeah.
Giritatis is here.
Yeah.
Honestly, looking at some of the past monsters, the amount that would fit into Ancient Forest, like there's so many monsters that fit that setting. Naharala,
Yeah.
look amazing in the Ancient Forest.
Oh gosh.
It's
Yeah.
almost
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
they
Naruto.
could have
Nadarala
could have
would be
created
really
it.
Cool.
Or the Celtices.
They could have made the Ancient Forest with like thinking, okay, we're gonna add monsters as DLC. Like, here's a place where Yan Garuka would fit or something.
Stop.
Oh, I
Some
did realize
poison
though.
nightmare.
Which is the monster that flashes everybody? Gypseros, right?
Yep.
That's gonna be a monster clash. If a monster can do flash,
We already
attacks,
know one can.
is just
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
the
Oh.
Raptor. Yeah.
Zuzuyaku.
I didn't
It
know
shows
it could.
in the trailer.
But yeah,
They showed
I'm
it
gonna
in
have
the
to rewatch
gameplay,
it.
man.
Like I said, my memory is garbage.
Yeah, it's fine, dude.
But
Doesn't matter.
imagine, with the Gypseros, just every monster that comes anywhere near it, it's a flash attack. It would fit perfectly.
So, I agreed with what you were saying, Fortuan, about the number not necessarily being important. Because, like, I don't know, I'm kind of like a tri-purist. And that, like, I really liked, like, how the monsters would, like, relate
Right.
to their environments. And how, like, you knew where Lagiacrus's den was. You knew where Agnactor's den was. And, like, where it could, like, flip into the ceiling and tunnel through the molten lava and all that jazz. So yeah, like, variety would be good, and I just hope, like, the quality is consistent, like,
Yeah.
with, because, like, Ergen and Lavasia, the fight looks like it
Yeah.
got totally remade for 5th gen. And then, like, to branch it out, they made these, like, subspecies, not calling them subspecies, that are Geratodus and Radoban with, like, a different, like, theme, so they could fit them into a different so they could fit, like, that animation set, that monster, into a different map and have
Yeah.
it make sense, you know?
A Lolo form Levizioth.
God.
Oh man, Alola form Rathalos has sunglasses.
Freaking Hawaiian shirt, Super Mario Sunshine.
And has little shorts on.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm hoping for, like, ballpark estimate of the amount of monsters would be 40, and it's a hope. I don't think I don't think they're gonna do. The last games have all had 50, 60, 70.
Yeah.
I would like to see
And
about
that's a
10
little bit
monsters
too
per
much.
map. I'd like to see like 10 monsters per map, maybe like 12.
So I think there's gonna be 6 based on how the little book looked, where it was showing the different areas something could show up in. It had 6 possible areas on there.
Yeah.
So
60.
to
maybe.
me, to me, 60 is a lot. I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they had. I don't know. I don't think they had
I'll
the
keep
time to
fingers
do that.
crossed.
Yeah, no, I would too. I definitely want that, but I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah.
Because with the open world is mostly where the reason why is because there's certain monsters I want to see in an open world. I would love to see Pickle come through and tear after you, and now you can't just run to another zone. Now you actually have to think about, okay, where is the place that I can go that's too small for him to fit?
So, well, I think that's good. Like, to have I really want the diversity too. But keep in mind that in all the other games, when we have 70 monsters, even if they're diverse, it's made on the same, it's still the same engine here, but they have to develop them differently and remake them. And they're also remaking them to the point that they're not only HD, but they're good HD. And they're like, we have Rathalos technically in HD on Double Cross, but that doesn't mean that his AI is any more intelligent.
Yeah, because now they have to interact with the environment versus...
Yeah.
Like,
there's a lot that they've added.
In 4U, there was a lot of monsters that had just had 4 moves.
Yep.
And it would just kind of roll a D4 and just do whatever it felt like.
Yep.
But now they actually have to worry about the environment and their wants and needs and other monsters and stuff.
And you can also recall that a lot of those monsters were just old monsters that they put into the game that did not have improved AI. They were still bad.
I would be happy with possibly just 6 per map, as long as... Yeah, what I don't want to see is, like I said earlier, is we go in, Rathalos is here, so that means X and X is here. Or, I want to see enough variety where you really don't know what's there yet, and you can be somewhat surprised. On top of that, I really want to see a roaming monster or two. I really want to see a couple monsters that could be there, that could be also be in other environments, like Devil Joe, or that kind of stuff.
I definitely think that that's what's going to happen. I definitely think that they'll be... Because even at the late stages of normal Monster Hunter games, they just kind of went, hey, let's just have fun and put these monsters all in this area together and fight you. Like, you normally wouldn't fight Brachydios in the snowy area in the game, but who cares, because we've done it before. Yeah. So we can throw him in there with other monsters like Zinogre and then Zamtrios, and they can actually do that, and they can. It's fun, and it's fun to fight all of them.
Yeah.
Zamtrios, he stayed in, I think, the what's it, Arctic Freezeway or Seaway or whatever. But the majority of the time they would give a little bit of leeway because monsters didn't really have any behaviors they were dependent on. So
right.
When you go into this game, it is going to be a little bit harder because maybe they're going to go, are we really going to want to give them a behavior, like a timeline that they're going to follow?
I know some of them they're going to have issues with as well. Like, I'm praying and also kind of upset that we're not going to have Kezu or Giganox because I don't think they've shown a cave map yet, and he kind of needs to have a dedicated set of caves for him to do his creepy.
We haven't seen everything yet.
Yeah.
I think the Rotten Vale is pretty like true. Underground, most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way,
but it's more
Kezu any day. Just putting it out there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but it's more stuff like Giganox might not fit because the bones could poke it to its smooth hide. It might not.
It'll come in there.
Might not.
Nah, it'll leave. And there's nowhere to put its goopy babies. It's giant freaking leeches.
Like Radovan is fine, but if they release like Giganox with like bones covering its skin, I'm gonna have problems with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just put it out there. I think there's a case to be made for Kazoo. A lot of people like
if they're gonna remake Kazoo, that's great. Like make a new Kazoo.
I think it'd be neat.
Every day I would say a new monster over an old one right now. I did want to see a specific few come back. I do think that some of the iconic ones, like maybe I keep wanting to say Panthrax. Oh my gosh, Nargacuga.
Every monster that's appeared on a box art needs to come back.
Maybe not every. I'm okay with Gushala and Teostra and that kind of stuff not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, Gushala did appear on a box art. I'm okay with Seregios not coming back.
I'm okay because I want to see Seregios and Rathlos have a just insane brawl at the top of Ancient Forest.
I mean, that said, if any of them come back, I'll be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I really like all the old monsters. But I do want to see new monsters.
Yeah.
Me too.
I think, for me personally, having Diablos back was a win because he is my favorite monster. I think that removing Rathalos and Rathian would be insane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They are the flagships of the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how outdated they feel or that kind of thing. I don't feel Rathalos feels outdated anymore.
Yeah.
Now that I've extensively fought him, he is very different.
Yeah.
I could understand why they'll go away from Zinogre and they'll go away from Nargacuga because they're trying some new things. Because I can see kind of both of them in Toby. Toby being this sort of static electricity, mobile, almost cat hunting like monster.
I do want to point out all the new monsters they're doing are kind of, I don't want to say realistic because they breathe fire, but it's more realistic style versus Zinogre is kind of more fantasy.
Right.
Like they're from everything we've seen, except for Floaty Bat, everything's been pretty grounded in reality.
I mean, Flurgerbergs, right?
Fulgerbugs.
So,
I do want to see what's it called? I had an idea that came up while I was playing the demo of. I was thinking of Nersilia, and her part of the forest was always covered in webs. If that was something that could happen randomly when you load it in, like if Nersilia is one of the random rolled monsters, certain areas you'll walk into and you just see spider webs everywhere, and you're like, this is new.
That would be cool. I'd
cool.
like that. It's like some different textures or different things that happen based on what's there.
It could be like Atalalka, where it throws down all the silk webs. Like you could easily, walk into it and then get stuck on the string that's across the area. Or it could be like
You're
good.
My example, another one that I was thinking of because you said that, if like Gore Magala was around, you'd walk into an area and notice there's a lot of dead plant life and kind of everything's a little corrupted looking.
There's a trail of purple death.
Yeah. And I doubt it'll happen, but I'll, hopes.
Yeah, and
so
the other way that I was thinking that Nersilia could be used is in the Rotten Vale. There is a lot of spider-webby areas, and there's also spiders. Like there's actually bug spiders that were crawling around.
Ew.
That I saw in promotional pictures.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Like we might actually get a full-fledged spider, not even just a four-legged Nersilia.
I hope so much that there's like a spider monster.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's realistic that because for each of these new monsters or returning monsters, they have to create the scout flight traces. So like something like a big web in the ancient forest would be realistic. If it was Nersilia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would definitely like to see
just a hanging Gypsyros corpse.
God,
God.
I put a terrifying thought in my mind. Because I was okay with Nersilia, because even though they made it move like a real spider, it still looked kind of goofy.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, whatever.
Besides the fact
Chunky
that
spider.
you could dislodge his jaw into a giant, huge mandible and snap it at your face. That's fine.
That was still goofy. It was very like,
that
was
weird. Yeah, that was.
But
it was gross, man.
But with this new art,
shit out of me.
But with this new art style, if they tried to make a spider like the way they've been making the new monsters, it might legit be actually terrifying, and I might actually have a problem fighting it.
I'm excited. I hope they do.
Like, I don't want some big hairy thing or something, the ones that are like the really long legs, like the desert camel spiders and shit. I see that and I hear that scaring, I'm gonna be like, nope, no, abandon quest.
Imagine
have the thing jumping off of trees at you. Oh.
Imagine if they, like Toby Kadachi, in the upper echelons of the Rotten Vale, they had a really long-legged spider creeping along the geometry and pouncing down at you or spinning down on a string.
Crazy.
You see the tree branches move. You're like, what is that?
So
it's not a tree branch though; it's his legs.
So far, we've seen very wyvern-based monsters. We haven't really seen a lot of other. We haven't seen spider-like or monkey-like or that kind of thing. It's mostly been pseudo-dragon dinosaur-like stuff. Even Toby Kadachi is. We have seen fish with Juritatus, but those, even those were classified as wyverns or Piscean wyverns. So I don't know. I'm kind of worried they might be falling back on the whole, wyvern formula. I don't really know if we're going to get that. I hope we don't get pigeonholed back into just wyverns, because
you want to be monster hunter, not just dragon hunter.
But we'll see.
We're getting a lot more fanged wyverns, though, so that maybe they are trying to fill out the roster a little bit. And then they'll start adding in some older monsters as we go.
But they're still wyverns, you know what I mean? Even fanged wyverns are still technically wyverns.
Yeah, but we only had one.
Yeah, I can say this, they may be, because I notice a lot of things, while they are wyverns, they're still not, way out there.
Yeah.
I think it might be part of the let's not scare our audience, and at the same time, let's give them something that's kind of new, because they wouldn't want to release, a brand new monster and then have people immediately say, oh, it's just a clone of this other monster. And
I mean, have you seen Nergigante? That's scary.
yeah.
I don't think they're too worried about scaring.
I think it means like scaring away their fan base of like, oh, this is stupid. I don't want to fight that. That's dumb. You know.
Tell you what. Go ahead.
I mean, even back in 3rd gen when like everything was Leviathans and they introduced Brute Wyverns, those just like one was technically a Wyvern, one technically wasn't, but I feel like Lagiacrus and even sort of Royal Ludroth and Agnactor, they're more dragon-like than Baroth or or maybe even
very
Devil
dinosaur
Joe.
aesthetic right now too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and the Baroth and Berrigan are probably like the most distinct monsters in World so far.
I will say, you know how they went with a very insect-like appearance for Ryzex? I don't remember his American name. Lightning Bug.
Yeah.
Astalos.
Yeah, Astalos.
That happened to me too.
But like they went for a very insecty looking appearance. They might actually give us a Nereptode, big insect monster, again.
Neopteron?
For World. Yeah, Neopteron. They might actually give us another one of those in World, since it looks like they were kind of experimenting with that look for Astalos.
Well, remember, I don't think we're going to see anything out of Generations just because it's so late after.
No, right. I just mean something similar to that. Like, something that's kind of like that.
I'm also not sure how much is going to come from even 4th generation, just because, mostly what we've seen from older games, monster-wise, is things from the 3rd generation. And, maybe they decided we don't have the time to work on things that weren't pseudo-developed to be HD, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like they would take stuff from the 3U version or the Wii U version of it, that way they can kind of have
already
at least
kind
a basis
of halfway
of it,
there, maybe, but that's also me just guessing. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be cool. That means that we have a potential for Bracky and Devil Joe and those crazy people.
Yep.
Durambros. Imagine that with all the new surround sound and rumble and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Maybe they just exclusively have rusted Durambros just so they could keep them in the desert.
Oh,
yeah, maybe.
Fortuan,
There's not
there
even
we go.
enough space for them.
There's something I'm disappointed in. Diablos' roar isn't as loud as it should be. Maybe it's because it's not a black Diablos, but it's still not loud.
Check your PS4
That's
settings.
racist.
There was actually a pretty good post about how the beta defaults to roars being quieter.
What? Yeah. All right, I gotta look that up. Because I feel like when the roar goes off, I should be scared.
Yeah, I think there's a setting that it's like when I normalize the audio on these podcasts. I think it's normalized.
Yeah. Okay. There's also a range setting that you can do, like audio range. And if you put it on wide, it will do more high pitched and low pitched sounds, like more bassy.
Okay, so I'll look for that post then.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen
By the way, I hope Black Diablos comes back. Going hard.
Yeah, I think Black Diablos was in the leak. Spoilers. But we've seen 7 monsters each in the Ancient Forest and the Wildfire Waste. So that's like more than half of them can't be on the map at any one given point. Although we've already seen a lot in the beta.
Yeah.
So, did you guys want to do monster speculation with leaks and which of those might end up where?
Oh, definitely.
I did actually have a thing, by the way. I wanted to point out to kind of GOG, and we were talking about being bored of maybe the same 8 monsters only show up in this one map. I'd be okay with them then including the different subspecies, because maybe you're in a map and instead of the Rathalos, it's an Azure Rathalos this time. So while they could keep, mostly the same monsters, it could still get mixed up.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening again. This has been the Hunters Hub, and we will be continuing next time. Maybe talking about some of the leaked stuff. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next quest.
See ya.
Adios. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you, Hunters, for listening today. You can catch us on SoundCloud or any past episodes on Google Drive download or YouTube.